Money feels ancient, as if it has always existed. We wake up chasing it. We work our entire lives for it. Wars have been fought over it. Empires have risen because of it, and fallen when it failed. Yet almost no one ever stops to ask a simple question. Where did money actually come from? Not coins, not paper, not banks, but the idea of money. Tonight we travel back, not to kings or empires, but to a world where money did not exist at all. And what we find there might change how you see wealth forever. A world without money. Imagine waking up in a time before prices, before salaries, before debt. There are no coins in your pocket, no notes in your hand, no numbers in your mind, only survival. Early humans lived in small tribes. They hunted together, they gathered food together, and they shared because they had no choice. There was no concept of rich or poor. If one person starved, the tribe weakened. If the tribe weakened, everyone died. So value was not measured in objects, it was measured in trust. You shared meat today, believing others would share tomorrow. You helped build shelter, believing shelter would protect you later. This was the earliest economy, not barter, not trade, but reciprocity. And it worked until humans began to settle. The birth of barter and its fatal flaw when agriculture was discovered, everything changed. People stopped moving. Villages became permanent. Surplus appeared. For the first time in history, humans had more than they needed. A farmer had extra grain. A shepherd had extra goats. A potter had extra jars. Naturally, they traded. Grain for goats, goats for tools, tools for pottery. This was barter, often described as the beginning of money. But here's the truth most textbooks ignore. Barter was never efficient enough to run a civilization. Why? Because barter suffers from a deadly problem called the double coincidence of wants. If you have grain and want shoes, you must find a shoemaker who wants grain. What if he wants meat instead? No trade happens. As villages grew, barter began to fail. And human society faced a crisis. How do you trade with strangers without trust? Debt came before money. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Most people believe money created debt. Shows the opposite. Debt came first. In ancient Mesopotamia, over 5,000 years ago, farmers borrowed seeds before planting season. They promised to repay after harvest. No coins exchanged hands. No physical money existed. Only records. Clay tablets listed names, amounts, and obligations. Money, at this stage, was not metal. It was memory. And whoever controlled the records controlled the economy. Temples and palaces became the first financial institutions. They did not lend money, they lent credit. When numbers became power, as trade expanded, records grew complex. Who owes whom? How much? For how long? To manage this, societies created units of account. Not coins, units. In Mesopotamia, it was silver, not as metal, but as a measurement. Silver existed mostly on paper. Or clay. A farmer could owe 5 shekels of silver without ever touching silver. Money was abstract long before it was physical. This changes everything, because now money was no longer a thing. It was a system of control. The first coins were not for trade. Coins did not appear because markets demanded them. They appeared because states needed them. The first true coins were minted in Lydia around 600 BCE. Why? To pay soldiers. Armies required standardized payment. Coins were portable, durable, and authoritative. But here's the trick. Rulers declared coins valuable by decree, not by metal content, not by usefulness, but by law. You paid taxes in the ruler's coin, or you faced punishment. Money became political. Taxes created markets. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths in economic history. Markets did not create money. Taxes did. When a ruler demanded taxes in a specific coin, people were forced to obtain it. To get the coin, they had to sell goods or labor. Suddenly, markets appeared everywhere. Not because people wanted them, but because they had no choice. Money spread not through freedom, but through obligation. Gold was never the beginning. Gold feels eternal, powerful, natural. But gold was not money because it was valuable. It was valuable because states accepted it. In fact, many societies avoided gold entirely. What mattered was not beauty, but acceptance. Shells, salt, grain, beads. Anything could become money if authority declared it so. Money was always a social agreement backed by force. When money became invisible, for centuries, money existed as metal. Then paper appeared. Not as money, but as receipts. Banks stored gold and issued paper claims. Over time, people stopped redeeming them. Trust replaced metal. Eventually, gold disappeared entirely. What remained? Numbers, digital entries, promises. Today, over 90% of money does not physically exist. It is created through loans, destroyed through repayments, controlled by institutions few understand. Money returned to what it always was, an idea. The great illusion, we are told money represents value. But money does not store value. It stores belief. Belief that tomorrow it will be accepted. Belief that authority will remain stable. Belief that the system will continue. When belief collapses, money collapses. History proves this again and again. The truth no one teaches: money did not begin with barter. It did not begin with gold. It did not begin with markets. Money began with power, debt, and control. It was created to organize society and to rule it. Understanding this does not make you rich, but it makes you free. Because once you see money for what it truly is, you stop worshiping it, and you start using it. Final thought: money feels permanent. But history shows it is fragile. Empires collapse. Currencies vanish. Systems reset. Only those who understand money's origin survive its end. And that is how money really began.